Picture this. A congressman sits before cameras in January 2025 and calmly states that aliens have underwater bases on Earth. Not a conspiracy theorist. Not a fringe researcher. An elected official, citing admirals who've briefed him about objects the size of football fields, moving hundreds of miles per hour beneath our seas. While we've spent decades scanning the skies for visitors, something extraordinary may have been hiding in plain sight. In our oceans. The Pentagon quietly changed their terminology in 2022, officially acknowledging unidentified anomalous phenomena that operate underwater. Navy pilots describe craft that dive beneath waves without a splash, then emerge miles away. Before we begin tonight's journey, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy exploring mysteries with us. And I'd love to know where you're tuning in from, and what time it is for you right now. It's always fascinating to see listeners joining from every corner of the world. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Picture the ocean at midnight. Moonlight dances across dark waters that stretch beyond the horizon, disappearing into blackness. Vast, silent, unknown. We've mapped every crater on Mars, photographed distant galaxies, and sent rovers to explore alien worlds. Yet less than 5% of our own oceans have been truly explored. Think about that for a moment. 71% of Earth is water. Mountains taller than Everest rise from ocean floors we've never seen. Trenches deeper than the atmosphere is high remain untouched by human eyes. We know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the deepest parts of our own planet. If visitors from another world wanted to establish a presence here, where would they go? The ocean offers everything an advanced civilization might need. Unlimited space, natural camouflage, protection from human detection, resources beyond imagination. And until very recently, complete isolation from our primitive technology. For decades, governments dismissed reports of strange objects in our skies, weather balloons, swamp gas, mass hysteria. But something changed in 2022. The Pentagon quietly altered their terminology. What were once called unidentified aerial phenomena became simply unidentified anomalous phenomena. The change wasn't bureaucratic wordplay. It was official acknowledgement that these objects operate not just in our skies, but in our seas. Congressional representatives now ask direct questions about underwater alien bases. Military officials brief lawmakers about objects the size of football fields, moving hundreds of miles per hour beneath the waves. The same government that once ridiculed UFO witnesses now dedicates resources to studying what they call transmedium craft. Objects that move seamlessly between air and water, as if the laws of physics were merely suggestions. Indigenous cultures across the globe have always spoken of visitors from the deep. Ancient maritime logs from the 1800s describe impossible lights beneath the waves. During World War II, submarine commanders reported sonar contacts that moved too fast, turned too sharp, disappeared too completely. The Cold War brought new encounters, nuclear submarines tracking objects that defied every known law of underwater physics. But these weren't just stories anymore. They were accumulating into a pattern that suggested something extraordinary had been sharing our oceans all along. The military knew, intelligence agencies investigated, and slowly, carefully, the truth began to surface. Representative Tim Burchett sat before cameras in January of 2025 and made a statement that would have ended political careers just decades earlier. He spoke of admirals briefing him about massive objects moving at impossible speeds underwater. Objects large as football fields. Objects that were documented cases, not speculation or theory. Representative Lauren Boebert asked UFO experts direct questions about accounts of objects emerging from or submerging into our waters. She wanted to know about bases or presence beneath the ocean's surface. The questions weren't hypothetical. They were based on briefings, on classified information, on knowledge that the public was only beginning to glimpse. The shift from denial to investigation represents something unprecedented in modern history. The same institutions that once mocked witnesses now acknowledge they're dealing with technology beyond current human capabilities. Technology that operates in environments we can barely reach, with capabilities we can't explain, pursuing purposes we don't understand. So what lies beneath those dark waters? What watches us from the depths we've never explored? The stories that follow come from military personnel, government documents, and witnesses whose credibility was once dismissed but can no longer be ignored. Pilots who've flown combat missions, radar operators who've tracked impossible contacts, divers who've found evidence on ocean floors. Some say these encounters represent the greatest discovery in human history. Others insist there are conventional explanations we simply haven't found yet. The truth, as always, remains elusive, but the questions are becoming impossible to ignore. Are we alone on this blue marble spinning through space? The evidence suggests we may never have been. The ocean spreads before us, vast and patient and full of secrets. Tonight, we're going to descend into those depths. We're going to explore the testimonies, examine the evidence, and confront the possibility that our understanding of life on Earth is about to change forever. What you believe is up to you, but the stories that follow come from sources that can no longer be easily dismissed. Military officers, government documents, physical evidence, official investigations that found no conventional answers. The ocean keeps its secrets well, but some secrets are too big to stay hidden forever. Some truths are rising to the surface, whether we're ready for them or not. Let's descend into the mystery together and see what we might find in those dark waters that cover most of our world. November 14th, 2004. The Pacific Ocean stretches endlessly in all directions, deep blue water meeting pale sky at a horizon that seems to curve away from the world. 100 miles southwest of San Diego, the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group cuts through calm seas on what should be a routine training exercise. Commander David Fravor adjusts his flight helmet and checks his instruments. A Top Gun graduate with 16 years of flying experience, he's seen everything the sky has to offer, or so he thought. For nearly 2 weeks, the advanced radar systems aboard the USS Princeton have been tracking something impossible. Objects appearing at 80,000 feet, dropping to 20,000 feet in seconds, then disappearing completely. The radar operators call them anomalous aerial vehicles. The contacts move unlike anything in their databases. No flight plan, no transponder signals, no radio communication, just brief, impossible glimpses of something that shouldn't exist. Today, Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich receive orders that will change their understanding of what's possible. Intercept and investigate. Standard procedure for unknown contacts in training airspace. Except nothing about this intercept will be standard. Their F-18 Super Hornets slice through clear morning air toward coordinates provided by the Princeton's sophisticated tracking systems. The ocean below appears normal. Blue water, gentle swells, the kind of perfect flying conditions that make routine missions enjoyable. But as they approach the designated area, Fravor notices something that makes him look twice. A disturbance in the water. Not waves breaking against some hidden reef or underwater obstruction. Something else entirely. The water churns and froths in a cross-shaped pattern, white foam spreading across an area roughly the size of a Boeing 737. On an otherwise calm day, in deep water, with no explanation for what could cause such turbulence, Fravor describes the disturbance as if something large sits just beneath the surface. The water breaks and foams like waves washing over a partially submerged aircraft, but there's no aircraft on their radar, no emergency beacons, no radio distress calls, just this impossible disturbance in an empty ocean. Then they see it. 50 feet above the churning water, a white object hovers in defiance of everything Fravor knows about flight. 40 feet long, shaped like a tic-tac breath mint. No wings, no rotors, no visible means of propulsion, no exhaust trail or heat signature. Just a smooth white craft hanging motionless in the air as if gravity were optional. The object moves unlike anything in Fravor's experience. Erratic motions, left-right, forward-back, like it's studying the underwater disturbance or communicating with whatever lies beneath those churning waves. When Fravor banks his fighter toward the craft, it mirrors his movements briefly, as if acknowledging his presence. Then the impossible becomes incomprehensible. The tic-tac suddenly accelerates beyond anything Fravor has witnessed in nearly 2 decades of flying the world's most advanced aircraft. No gradual increase in speed, no visible thrust. One moment it hovers above the water, the next, it's gone. Not just fast, gone. Disappeared beyond the horizon in seconds. The radar operators aboard the Princeton watch their screens in disbelief. The contact reappears 60 miles away at the training group's rendezvous point. It arrived there before Fravor's fighters could possibly have made the journey. Whatever they encountered possessed technology that rendered the world's most advanced military aircraft obsolete. A second flight of F-18s launches from the Nimitz. Lieutenant Chad Underwood manages to lock onto the object with his aircraft's infrared targeting system. The video he captures will later become famous around the world. A white oval object moving against a dark ocean background, rotating, accelerating, displaying flight characteristics that violate known laws of physics. But the infrared footage, remarkable as it is, captures only part of the story. The underwater disturbance that first drew Fravor's attention remains unexplained, something large enough to churn the ocean surface. Something the tic-tac appeared to be investigating or rendezvousing with before human aircraft interrupted the encounter. The official analysis describes the incident in careful, measured language. The object displayed advanced acceleration, aerodynamic, and propulsion capabilities. It appeared to be intelligent and under some form of control. The technology observed was far superior to anything in the U.S. inventory or known to be under development by any nation. What the official reports don't emphasize is the underwater element, the cross-shaped disturbance that drew the pilots to the area in the first place. The possibility that the tic-tac was meeting something beneath the waves, something that disappeared along with the aerial craft, leaving only questions and the memory of churning water where nothing should have been. Fravor would later testify before Congress about the encounter. His words carry the weight of experience and the frustration of witnessing technology that shouldn't exist. The tic-tac object they engaged was far superior to anything we had at the time, have today, or are looking to develop in the next 10 to 20 years. No investigation was initiated despite the extraordinary nature of the encounter. No follow-up interviews beyond a standard debrief. The most advanced military in human history encountered technology that rendered their capabilities ineffective, and the official response was to file the report and move on. The questions linger in the salt air above those Pacific waters. What caused the underwater disturbance? Where did the tic-tac originate and where did it go? Was this an isolated encounter or part of a larger pattern of visitation? And most importantly, what lies beneath our oceans that we're only beginning to glimpse? The Nimitz incident opened a door to possibilities that challenge everything we think we know about life on Earth. Behind that door, the ocean stretches dark and deep, holding secrets we're only beginning to imagine. October 4th, 1967. Autumn settles over the Atlantic coast of Nova Scotia like a familiar blanket. In the small fishing village of Shag Harbor, evening brings the usual quiet that defines life in remote coastal communities. Lobster boats rest at their moorings. Windows glow warm against the gathering darkness. The sea whispers against rocky shores as it has for countless generations. Laurie Wickens drives through the village with 4 friends, their conversation mixing with the hum of tires on pavement. It's 11:20 at night, and the world feels ordinary, safe, predictable. Then they see the lights. 4 orange lights moving in perfect sequence across the dark sky, too organized to be stars, too bright to be aircraft navigation lights. The lights flash in a pattern that suggests intelligence, purpose. Then, impossibly, they angle downward at 45 degrees and dive toward the black water of the harbor. Wickens and his friends expect to witness a tragic aircraft crash. They pull over and watch for the impact, for the explosion, for the debris field that should follow. Instead, they see something that defies explanation. The lights don't crash into the water. They float on the surface approximately half a mile from shore, bobbing gently like some impossible craft that treats the ocean as a natural landing strip. No splash, no disturbance, no sign of an aircraft in distress. Wickens reaches a roadside phone booth and dials the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. His report is simple and direct. An aircraft has crashed into Shag Harbor. The dispatcher's initial skepticism dissolves when Wickens provides specific details and coordinates. Within minutes, emergency response protocols activate across the region. RCMP officers, Coast Guard vessels, and local fishermen converge on the harbor expecting a rescue operation. They find something unprecedented in the annals of emergency response. Thick, yellow foam spreads across the water, where the lights disappeared. But there's no wreckage, no fuel slick, no survivors calling for help, no aircraft debris floating on the surface. The foam itself defies easy explanation, thick enough to be visible in darkness. Yellow in color, unlike any natural phenomenon or aircraft, fuel the responders have encountered. It drifts on the current and gradually disperses, leaving no trace of whatever created it. Coast Guard cutter Granby arrives to coordinate the search. Professional maritime rescue personnel with decades of experience in Atlantic waters find themselves confronting something entirely outside their training. All the protocols for aircraft crashes become useless when there's no aircraft to recover. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police file official reports describing the incident in careful, factual language. Multiple witnesses observed an unidentified object crash into Shag Harbor waters. Emergency response found evidence of impact but no conventional explanation. The object remains unidentified. The Royal Canadian Air Force responds with unusual seriousness. Instead of dismissing the reports or offering convenient explanations, they classify the incident as a UFO report and recommend underwater investigation. Priority telexes flash between Halifax and Ottawa. Naval Headquarters receives orders to mount a search operation. Fleet Diving Unit Atlantic assembles a team of professional military divers. For 3 days, they comb the seafloor of the Gulf of Maine, using the most advanced underwater equipment available to the Canadian military. Their mission is straightforward: find whatever crashed into Shag Harbor waters and determine its origin. The divers find nothing. No wreckage, no impact crater, no debris field. The ocean floor shows no sign that anything unusual ever happened. Their final report states simply that no trace of an object was found. Yet everyone involved knows something crashed that night. The witnesses were credible. The physical evidence was real. The yellow foam was documented. But according to research conducted decades later, the object didn't simply disappear. It traveled underwater. 70 kilometers northeast through the dark Atlantic depths to Government Point, near a classified submarine detection facility disguised as an oceanographic research station. Government Point housed part of the SOSUS network, the top-secret sound surveillance system deployed throughout the Atlantic Ocean to detect Soviet submarines during the Cold War. Underwater microphones capable of tracking submarines across thousands of miles, one of North America's most sensitive military installations. Naval personnel at the facility reported tracking an unidentified sonar contact for several days. The object positioned itself near the underwater listening post, as if studying the installation or its capabilities. Surface vessels maintained surveillance, while divers prepared for what might have been one of the most significant recovery operations in history. Then reports emerged of a Soviet submarine creating a distraction elsewhere in the region. Emergency protocols required diverting resources to track the potential security threat. When attention returned to Government Point, the unidentified contact had vanished. The timing raises questions that have never been satisfactorily answered. Was the submarine appearance coincidental, or part of a larger operation to cover the recovery of something that shouldn't exist? Cold War protocols demanded protecting classified capabilities above investigating anomalies, no matter how significant. What makes Shag Harbor unique isn't just what happened, but how officials responded. Most governments follow predictable patterns when confronted with unexplained phenomena. Observe, deny, debunk, move on. The Canadian response was different. They investigated thoroughly, found no conventional explanation, and officially classified the incident as unknown origin. More than 50 years later, that classification remains unchanged. No retraction, no convenient explanation discovered decades after the fact. No attempt to rewrite history or dismiss the witnesses. The Canadian government's position is clear and unwavering. Something of unknown origin crashed into Shag Harbor waters on October 4, 1967. The incident established a template that would repeat across the globe, objects crashing into or emerging from the ocean, government investigation finding no conventional answers, evidence of technology beyond current human capabilities, and always, the lingering question of what lies beneath our darkest waters, Caribbean waters, 2013. The endless blue expanse between Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic stretches beneath scattered clouds and tropical sunshine. U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Surveillance aircraft patrol these waters routinely, their sophisticated sensors scanning for drug smugglers and human trafficking operations. The infrared camera aboard the surveillance aircraft captures everything in perfect digital clarity. Heat signatures, movement patterns, anomalous contacts that might indicate illegal activity. On this particular day, the camera records something that will puzzle analysts for years to come. A small spherical object moves inland from the ocean at impossible speed. The infrared system tracks its path as it crosses the airport at Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, then returns to sea. What happens next defies every known law of physics and hydrodynamics. The object enters the water without slowing down. No splash, no wake, no disturbance of any kind. The water doesn't react to the object's presence, as if the fundamental interaction between matter and liquid has been suspended. Then, seconds later, the object resurfaces, appears to split in two, and submerges again. Any object transitioning between air and water should create massive turbulence. Hydrodynamics demands splash formation, wake patterns, pressure waves. The energy transfer between mediums should be visible, dramatic, unavoidable. Yet the Aguadilla object violates these basic principles, as if they don't apply. The 3-minute video becomes a cornerstone of UFO research and scientific debate. Frame-by-frame analysis reveals capabilities that shouldn't exist. Speeds that would destroy conventional aircraft. Maneuvers that would kill human pilots. Technology that operates equally well in air and water without modification. But Aguadilla isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a pattern that emerges when researchers begin connecting dots across decades of maritime encounters. Objects displaying similar capabilities appear in waters across the globe, witnessed by credible observers, documented by sophisticated equipment. Santa Monica Bay, 1992. Multiple witnesses report more than 200 disc-shaped objects emerging from the water in perfect silence. The craft hover briefly above the Pacific swells, then accelerate skyward at speeds that should generate sonic booms but produce no sound. Commercial pilots, law enforcement officers, and ordinary citizens describe identical phenomena from different vantage points. The objects emerge from deep water as if the ocean were their natural habitat. No disturbance of the surface. No indication of struggle against water pressure or resistance. They rise into the air as smoothly as if transitioning between rooms in the same building. Guantanamo Bay, 1998. Navy Chief Petty Officer Charles Howard observes 3 large white lights underwater while his ship visits the Cuban naval base. The objects measure 10 to 20 feet on each side, with rounded shapes that pulse with their own illumination. They move independently beneath the surface, maintaining formation like some impossible submarine fleet. Howard's professional experience includes extensive training in submarine identification and underwater phenomena. What he observes matches no known vessel or natural occurrence. The lights operate at depths and display characteristics beyond any human technology of the era. The pattern becomes clear when incidents are mapped globally. Objects comfortable in both air and water appear near nuclear installations, military bases, and strategic waterways. They demonstrate technology that surpasses human capabilities by what appears to be centuries rather than decades. The USS Franklin D. Roosevelt experiences multiple encounters during its service as America's first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. Objects pace the vessel underwater, keeping precise distance and speed as if studying the ship's nuclear propulsion systems. Radar operators track contacts that appear and disappear at will, moving at speeds that challenge the limits of their equipment. Similar reports emerge from nuclear submarines, coastal installations, housing nuclear weapons, and research facilities developing atomic technology. The correlation suggests systematic observation of human nuclear capabilities by intelligences with technology that makes our most advanced systems appear primitive. Deep ocean exploration reveals environments that could support civilizations we can barely imagine. Pressure conditions that would crush any known craft. Temperature variations that span hundreds of degrees. Chemical compositions that would corrode conventional materials within hours. Yet reports persist of objects operating at depths where human technology cannot function. Sonar contacts moving through ocean trenches deeper than mountains are tall. Acoustic signatures that don't match any known propulsion system. Evidence of intelligence operating in environments we consider impossible for life as we understand it. The technology demonstrated by these objects suggests mastery of physical principles beyond current human understanding. Propulsion systems that generate no exhaust or heat signatures. Hull materials that adapt seamlessly to different environmental conditions. Navigation methods that ignore conventional limitations of mass and acceleration. Research into materials science, propulsion physics, and environmental adaptation could advance by centuries if we understood the principles behind these observations. Energy systems that operate without visible fuel sources. Structural engineering that maintains integrity across multiple environments. Communication methods that function equally well underwater and in atmosphere. Each incident adds another piece to a puzzle that grows more complex rather than clearer with additional data. The objects appear to operate according to consistent principles, suggesting organized activity rather than random encounters. They demonstrate awareness of human technology and capability, often maintaining distances that allow observation while avoiding direct engagement. The emerging picture challenges fundamental assumptions about life on Earth and humanity's place in the cosmic order. We may not be alone on this planet. We may never have been alone, and the evidence suggests our uninvited guests have been studying us far longer than we've been aware of their presence. Naval radar operators worldwide report similar encounters with increasing frequency. Objects appearing on sonar screens, moving at 200 miles per hour underwater. Contacts that accelerate beyond anything in their databases, then vanish completely from detection systems. Speeds impossible for any known submarine, biological organism, or natural phenomenon. The reports share consistent characteristics across different navies, different decades, different ocean regions. Objects that ignore depth limitations human technology can't exceed. Propulsion signatures unlike anything in military identification manuals. Movement patterns suggesting intelligence and purpose rather than random natural events. Former F-18 Super Hornet pilot Ryan Graves founded Americans for Safe Aerospace after years of encountering phenomena that official channels couldn't explain. His testimony before Congress describes objects operating routinely in military training areas off the Virginia coast. Daily encounters with craft displaying impossible capabilities. Graves describes the object's preferred operating environment in simple, direct language. Always over the ocean. The craft appear most frequently above Atlantic waters, maintaining patterns that suggest systematic surveillance of American naval operations and coastal installations. The objects vary in speed, from stationary hover to supersonic flight. 0.0 Mach to 1.2 Mach, with instantaneous acceleration between those extremes. All altitudes from sea level to maximum detection range of military radar systems. but consistently, always over ocean waters. One encounter stands out in Graves' memory with crystalline clarity. A dark gray cube suspended inside a clear sphere, 5 to 15 feet in diameter. The object approached within 50 feet of his fighter jet, close enough to observe details impossible to explain with conventional technology. The cube rotates freely within the sphere, as if the two components operate according to different physical principles. No visible connection between inner and outer elements. No obvious propulsion system. No heat signature or exhaust trail. Just impossible technology operating in impossible ways. Graves' squadron recorded similar sightings almost daily during deployment periods. Sometimes the objects flew in loose formations. Other times they traveled alone. They displayed no wings, no exhaust, no visible means of staying aloft. Some would rotate in place like mobile observation posts. Others vanished instantly when approached by military aircraft. The pattern parallels encounters reported by pilots stationed off the west coast, aboard carriers like the USS Nimitz and USS Princeton. Similar objects. Similar capabilities. Similar operating patterns that suggest coordinated activity rather than coincidental sightings. Retired Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet brings decades of oceanographic expertise to his analysis of underwater anomalous phenomena. His background includes service as Chief Oceanographer of the U.S. Navy and Acting Administrator of the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. Gallaudet's warnings carry the weight of professional authority in classified briefings. Underwater phenomena pose potential threats to maritime security that officials can no longer afford to ignore. U.S. Maritime security faces challenges weakened by our relative ignorance about the global ocean. The Admiral calls for treating these phenomena as a national research priority. The technology demonstrated by underwater objects suggests capabilities that could revolutionize human understanding of physics, materials, science, and propulsion systems. The potential benefits of comprehending these principles could transform civilization. But access to information remains limited by classification protocols and official reluctance to acknowledge the scope of the phenomena. Congressional briefings provide lawmakers with details too sensitive for public committees. Representatives emerge from classified sessions with changed perspectives on the reality of underwater anomalous activity. Representative Tim Burchett describes briefings by military officials about objects moving at hundreds of miles per hour underwater. Objects the size of football fields operating at depths and speeds that challenge every assumption about what's possible in marine environments. Documented cases supported by multiple sensor systems and credible witnesses. The congressman's statements reflect growing pressure from elected officials for transparency about government knowledge of underwater phenomena. Decades of secrecy have created information gaps that leave the public unprepared for revelations that appear increasingly inevitable. Representative Lauren Boebert asks direct questions about underwater bases and permanent installations. Her inquiries during congressional hearings address theories that advanced civilizations might have established presence beneath our oceans. Questions that would have seemed absurd decades ago now receive serious consideration from government officials. The pattern of official acknowledgement represents a dramatic shift in government policy toward unexplained phenomena. From denial and debunking to investigation and cautious disclosure, resources allocated to understanding rather than dismissing. Professional analysis replacing reflexive skepticism. Military personnel breaking decades of silence describe encounters that occurred during routine operations. Sonar operators tracking impossible contacts. Submariners observing objects that operate beyond known technological capabilities. Surface vessel crews witnessing phenomena that challenge fundamental understanding of what's possible. The testimony accumulates into a body of evidence that becomes increasingly difficult to dismiss or explain through conventional means. Credible witnesses, multiple sensor confirmations, consistent reports across different services and time periods, technology demonstrating capabilities that exceed human development by what appears to be centuries. The implications extend beyond scientific curiosity into questions of national security and humanity's place in the cosmic order. If advanced intelligences operate freely in our oceans, monitoring our activities and demonstrating superior technology, what does that mean for human sovereignty and future development? The ocean depths that once provided security through isolation may have been shared territory all along. Waters we considered empty may teem with intelligence that observes our every move, while remaining largely invisible to our primitive detection systems. 6.6 miles off the coast of Malibu, California, an underwater feature known as Sycamore Knoll has captured the attention of UFO researchers and conspiracy theorists. Satellite imagery reveals geometric patterns on the ocean floor that some interpret as evidence of artificial construction rather than natural geological formation. The coordinates 34 degrees, 1 minute, 23.3, 1 seconds north, 118 degrees, 59 minutes, 45.64 seconds west mark a location that has been known to marine scientists for years. But recent speculation about its potential significance has drawn new scrutiny to this underwater landmark. Conspiracy theorists point to the unusually regular geometric patterns visible in satellite imagery. Linear formations that appear too organized to result from natural processes, structures that suggest intentional design rather than random geological activity. Speculation centers on the possibility that Sycamore Knoll might camouflage an underwater installation. In April of 2025, Google Earth imagery of the location became mysteriously blurred, obscuring details that were previously visible to civilian researchers. The deliberate obfuscation sparked increased speculation about what authorities might want to hide beneath those Pacific waters. The blurring could result from routine updates to satellite imagery or security concerns about coastal installations. But the timing correlates with increased public interest in underwater anomalous phenomena, leading some researchers to wonder if the concealment is intentional rather than coincidental. Similar underwater features attract attention from researchers worldwide. Lake Titicaca, the high-altitude lake between Peru and Bolivia, generates reports of objects entering and exiting its waters. Local legends speak of underwater visitors that predate European contact by centuries or millennia. Indigenous communities around Lake Titicaca describe encounters passed down through oral tradition, stories of lights beneath the water, visitors from the depths who emerge periodically to observe surface dwellers, legends that modern researchers find surprisingly consistent with contemporary UFO reports. The Solomon Islands in the remote Pacific generate regular reports of objects emerging from deep ocean trenches. Local fishing communities describe encounters that span generations, suggesting long-term presence rather than recent arrivals. Phenomena that have become part of local folklore and daily life. Commercial fishermen operating near the Solomon Islands report electronic interference in areas where objects are frequently sighted. Navigation equipment malfunctions. Radio communications disrupted. Sonar systems displaying impossible readings. Effects that suggest advanced technology operating beneath the waves. Mexican fishermen near Miramar Beach speak of an underwater installation they call Amupac. Local folklore describes a base hidden beneath coastal waters, where unknown intelligences maintain permanent presence. Stories that blend traditional beliefs with contemporary sightings of unexplained phenomena. The global distribution of reported underwater installations suggests a network rather than isolated incidents. Strategic locations near major population centers. Proximity to important shipping lanes. Access to underwater resources and energy sources. Positioning that would allow systematic observation of human maritime activity. Ocean trenches provide natural concealment for any installations that might exist beneath our seas. The Mariana Trench extends deeper than Mount Everest is tall. Pressure conditions that would crush conventional human technology. Environments so extreme that exploration requires specialized equipment that barely scratches the surface of what lies beneath. Yet reports persist of objects operating at depths where human presence is impossible. Sonar contacts in the deepest parts of the ocean. Acoustic signatures that don't match any known natural or artificial source. Evidence suggesting intelligence operates comfortably in environments we consider utterly hostile to life. The technology required for permanent underwater installations would exceed current human capabilities by significant margins. Pressure-resistant construction materials, energy systems that operate in total darkness, life support for inhabitants adapted to extreme conditions, engineering challenges that push the boundaries of imagination. But if advanced civilizations possess technology demonstrated in UFO encounters, these challenges become routine engineering problems. Materials that adapt to different environmental conditions, energy systems that operate without visible fuel sources, propulsion methods that function equally well underwater and in atmosphere. The strategic advantages of underwater bases would appeal to any intelligence studying human civilization, hidden from satellite observation, protected by natural barriers that limit human access, positioned to monitor maritime traffic, coastal installations, and submarine activities. Perfect surveillance posts for observing surface dwellers. The monitoring capabilities of underwater installations could explain the systematic nature of UFO encounters, coordinated observations of military exercises, increased activity near nuclear installations, technology demonstrations that suggest deliberate communication rather than accidental contact. Deep ocean installations might serve as staging areas for surface operations, temporary stops for craft transitioning between underwater transit and atmospheric flight, maintenance facilities for technology that operates across multiple environments, command centers coordinating global observation activities. The questions multiply faster than answers emerge. How long might such installations have existed? What purposes do they serve? How many intelligences might share our planet's oceans? What do they think of the surface dwellers who have only recently developed technology advanced enough to glimpse their presence? The ocean depths that once seemed empty and lifeless might teem with intelligence that has observed human development for centuries or millennia. Waters we considered our domain may have been shared territory all along, with previous occupants maintaining discreet distance until our technology advanced enough to detect their presence. David Svet has spent years surveying the ocean floor off Shag Harbor, Nova Scotia, searching for evidence of what crashed into those dark waters on October 4, 1967. His underwater investigations reveal anomalies that don't match the surrounding seafloor geology. The most striking discovery resembles a dinner plate depression in the ocean bottom, perfectly circular, 1 foot deep at the center. The formation's geometric precision suggests artificial origin rather than natural geological processes that typically create irregular patterns and random distributions. The depression's composition puzzles experienced divers. The bottom is covered with uniform pebbles measuring 2 to 4 centimeters in diameter. Missing are the large rocks, marine vegetation, and sea life that should naturally occur in that marine environment. No scallops, no lobsters, no silt accumulation, no algae growth. The area appears swept clean by some unknown force, as if something large rested there temporarily, clearing away everything that should naturally accumulate on the ocean floor. The absence of normal marine debris suggests recent disturbance rather than ancient geological formation. Svet describes the site as if someone had cleaned it the day before his dive. Every natural element that should exist in that location has been removed or displaced. The uniformity of the pebble covering suggests organization rather than random distribution by natural currents. Other anomalies appear throughout the survey area, formations that don't match geological patterns elsewhere in the region, depressions, and markings that correlate with witness accounts from 1967. Physical evidence supporting extraordinary claims about objects crashing into and traveling beneath Shag Harbor waters. In 2018, members of the famous Cousteau family investigated the Shag Harbor incident as part of their documentary series, Legends of the Deep, Celine and Fabian. Cousteau, grandchildren of legendary ocean explorer Jacques Cousteau, brought modern oceanographic equipment to examine the mystery. The Cousteau investigation represents professional oceanographic analysis of claims often dismissed by mainstream science. Their participation lends credibility to civilian research efforts and demonstrates growing scientific interest in underwater anomalous phenomena. Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet identifies strange seafloor trenches off San Diego that appear as if an object crashed and skidded to a stop. The formations don't match known geological processes or human activity in the area. He proposes using remotely operated vehicles to investigate features he cannot explain. The Admiral's professional oceanographic background adds weight to observations that might otherwise be dismissed as speculation. His inability to explain formations using conventional geology suggests phenomena beyond current scientific understanding. The 1967 Fleet Diving Unit Atlantic spent 3 days searching Shag Harbor seafloor using the most advanced military diving equipment available to Canadian forces. Their official report states simply that no trace of an object was found. But divers bound by military security protocols may have discovered more than they were permitted to discuss publicly. Military divers operate under strict classification requirements that prevent disclosure of sensitive discoveries. Objects recovered during official operations might remain classified indefinitely, regardless of their significance to public understanding of unexplained phenomena. The pattern of official underwater searches, followed by classification of findings, appears throughout UFO research. Government resources devoted to investigating incidents, followed by official conclusions that reveal minimal information about actual discoveries. The gap between public statements and classified findings often spans decades. Professional divers working on civilian projects sometimes report discoveries they're reluctant to discuss publicly. Pressure from military contacts, concerns about professional reputation, fear of ridicule from scientific communities. Knowledge shared only within trusted networks of researchers and investigators. The diving community maintains informal networks for sharing information about unusual discoveries, underwater formations that don't match geological databases, objects displaying artificial characteristics, technology fragments that exceed known manufacturing capabilities, evidence that accumulates outside official channels. Ocean floor surveys reveal technology potentially centuries or millennia old. Installations hidden in deepest trenches where human exploration remains impossible. Evidence of long-term presence by intelligences with capabilities far exceeding human development. The archaeological implications stagger the imagination. If advanced civilizations have maintained underwater presence for extended periods, physical evidence should exist throughout ocean basins. Technology fragments, structural remnants, materials that resist natural decay processes. The recovery of such evidence faces obstacles beyond technical diving challenges, classification protocols that remove discoveries from public knowledge, corporate interests that might profit from exclusive access to advanced technology, international complications arising from territorial water claims. Civilian research organizations attempt to fill gaps left by official investigations, private funding for diving expeditions, independent analysis of recovered materials, collaboration between researchers across national boundaries, efforts to preserve evidence and testimony that might otherwise disappear into classified archives. The emerging picture suggests ocean floors contain evidence of non-human intelligence that predates recorded human history. Technology demonstrations by visitors who have observed human development across millennia. Installations that serve purposes we can only imagine. Physical evidence supporting witness accounts of impossible craft and unexplained phenomena. Proof that extraordinary claims deserve serious investigation rather than reflexive dismissal. Confirmation that our understanding of life on Earth requires fundamental revision. The men who dive too deep discover truths that challenge everything we think we know about our planet's history and our place in the cosmic order. Evidence that we have never been alone. Proof that visitors have been watching, waiting, perhaps preparing for the moment when humanity becomes ready to acknowledge their presence. The deepest waters of our planet conceal encounters that submarine crews are sworn never to discuss. Nuclear submarines patrolling at maximum operational depths report sonar contacts moving at impossible speeds through crushing pressure that should destroy any known craft. During Cold War patrols, Sonar operators tracked objects that defied every assumption about underwater physics. Contacts accelerating from 0 to hundreds of miles per hour instantaneously. Acoustic signatures, unlike any biological organism or human technology. Movement patterns, suggesting intelligence and purpose, rather than natural phenomena. The USS Stein encountered something in the deep Pacific that shredded sections of the submarine's specialized rubber hull covering. Analysis of the damage revealed claw marks or teeth impressions, unlike any known marine life. The forensic evidence suggested contact with something large, powerful, and unidentified. Similar damage patterns appear in classified reports from submarines worldwide. Hull damage that can't be explained through contact with known sea life or underwater obstacles. Markings that suggest encounters with objects or entities operating at depths where conventional wisdom insists nothing complex should survive. The USS Connecticut's 2021 collision, with what officials described as an uncharted seamount, raises questions among submarine warfare experts. Advanced navigation systems should prevent such accidents. Charts covering the South China Sea have been updated continuously for decades. The collision occurred in waters that should have been precisely mapped. Speculation within submarine communities suggests the Connecticut encountered something other than a geological formation. An object that wasn't there during previous transits. Technology that could appear and disappear from sonar detection. Contact with intelligence operating outside conventional understanding. The USS San Francisco's 2005 high-speed collision, with what charts listed as an underwater mountain, resulted in one crew member's death and extensive damage to the submarine. But post-incident analysis revealed discrepancies between charted underwater geography and actual conditions encountered. These incidents share common characteristics that trouble submarine warfare specialists. Collisions occurring in supposedly well-mapped waters. Official explanations that don't satisfy professional mariners familiar with navigation protocols. Damage patterns that suggest contact with objects more complex than simple geological formations. Nuclear-powered submarines report disproportionate numbers of anomalous encounters compared to conventionally powered vessels. The pattern suggests systematic interest in human nuclear propulsion technology by intelligences with capabilities exceeding our understanding. Ballistic missile submarines carrying nuclear weapons experience regular shadowing by unidentified contacts. Objects that pace nuclear submarines at distances, suggesting deliberate surveillance rather than coincidental proximity. Technology that monitors humanity's most sensitive military capabilities. Sonar recordings capture acoustic signatures that don't match any known propulsion system. Sound patterns suggesting advanced technology operating according to principles beyond current human engineering. Propulsion methods that function silently at speeds that should generate massive acoustic signatures. The acoustic analysis reveals propulsion systems that operate without cavitation, the formation of bubbles that creates noise in conventional underwater propulsion. Technology that moves massive objects through water without generating the sound signatures that make submarines detectable to sonar systems. Submarine crews develop unofficial protocols for handling unusual contacts, standing orders to maintain course and avoid engagement with objects displaying impossible capabilities. Procedures for reporting encounters through classified channels that remove information from normal operational databases. The Silent Service maintains its silence about encounters that could revolutionize understanding of what shares our oceans. Classification protocols that protect operational security also conceal evidence of intelligence operating freely in marine environments we consider hostile to complex life. Deep ocean trenches serve as highways for objects that travel undetected between distant regions. Submarine crews report regular fast-moving contacts in deepest waters, where human technology cannot operate. Traffic patterns suggesting organized activity rather than random movement. The objects utilize underwater terrain features for concealment and navigation, routes that follow ocean ridges and abyssal plains. Movement patterns that avoid shipping lanes and submarine patrol areas, evidence of intelligence familiar with human maritime activities and ocean geography. Nuclear submarine crews witness technology that renders human naval capabilities obsolete, objects that ignore depth limitations, propulsion systems that operate without detectable energy sources, materials that withstand pressure conditions that crush the strongest human-engineered hulls. The implications challenge fundamental assumptions about human technological superiority and maritime dominance. Waters we considered our domain may be thoroughly monitored by intelligences with capabilities that make our most advanced submarines appear primitive. The silent service speaks only in whispers about encounters that could change everything we think we know about life on Earth. Evidence that we share our planet with intelligence that has mastered environments we can barely explore. Technology that observes our every move while remaining largely invisible to our detection systems. Submarine warfare, the ultimate expression of human underwater technology, becomes a means of glimpsing intelligence that has made the ocean depths their natural habitat. Contact with visitors who have been here far longer than we've possessed the capability to detect their presence. The Pentagon's 2022 terminology change represents more than bureaucratic adjustment. Unidentified aerial phenomena became unidentified anomalous phenomena, specifically to acknowledge objects that operate underwater as well as in atmosphere. Official recognition that these phenomena transcend environmental boundaries, humans consider absolute. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office receives a mandate that explicitly includes underwater phenomena in its investigation portfolio. Professional intelligence analysts assigned to study objects that demonstrate impossible capabilities across multiple environments. Systematic investigation replacing decades of dismissal and denial. Between May 2023 and June 2024, AARO received 757 UFO reports from military and government sources. 21 cases contain sufficient data to warrant continued active investigation. The numbers represent unprecedented official acknowledgement of phenomena that challenge conventional understanding. Congressional members receive classified briefings about underwater anomalous phenomena that include details too sensitive for public committees. Lawmakers emerge from these sessions with fundamentally changed perspectives on the reality of non-human intelligence operating in Earth's oceans. Former Pentagon official Luis Elizondo breaks decades of silence about government knowledge of unexplained phenomena. His testimony before Congress acknowledges that excessive secrecy has concealed evidence that we are not alone in the cosmos. The admission represents a dramatic shift in official policy toward disclosure. The Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program allocated $22 million to study phenomena that included underwater objects demonstrating transmedium capabilities. The budget, while modest compared to overall defense spending, represents dedicated government resources investigating what officials once dismissed as impossible. The program studied objects that operate seamlessly between air and water without visible modifications or performance degradation. Technology that violates fundamental assumptions about environmental adaptation and materials science. Capabilities that suggest mastery of physical principles beyond human understanding. Intelligence analysts compile systematic databases of encounter reports spanning decades of military and civilian sightings. Patterns emerge that reveal organized activity rather than random phenomena. Geographic distributions that correlate with sensitive military installations and nuclear facilities. The UAP Task Force evolution into AARO represents institutionalization of phenomena, investigation within government structure. Professional career paths for analysts studying unexplained encounters. Resources allocated to understanding rather than debunking unusual reports. Government files contain official classifications of incidents as unknown origin, spanning multiple decades. Military reports acknowledge objects displaying capabilities beyond known technology. Priority communications about underwater threats that challenge maritime security assumptions. International cooperation emerges as allied navies share encounter data and develop coordinated response protocols. NATO discussions address underwater anomalies as potential security concerns. Global recognition that these phenomena transcend national boundaries and require multinational investigation. Scientific resources integrate with intelligence analysis, as oceanographers and marine biologists contribute expertise to investigation programs. Advanced sonar systems dedicate capability to phenomena detection. Research budgets allocate funding to understanding underwater anomalous activity. Security implications drive policy changes as underwater phenomena represent potential national security threats. Maritime trade routes potentially monitored by unknown intelligences. Naval operations possibly under systematic observation by technology that exceeds human defensive capabilities. The Congressional UAP Disclosure Act requires federal agencies to collect, catalog, and disclose records related to recovered non-human craft and biological materials. Legislation demands transparency about government knowledge accumulated over decades of secret investigation. Public pressure builds momentum toward broader disclosure as civilian researchers document patterns that parallel classified government findings. Social media amplifies witness testimony that confirms official acknowledgement of unexplained phenomena. Popular culture prepares audiences for revelations that would have seemed impossible decades earlier. The changing official landscape reflects recognition that phenomena denial has become impossible to maintain. Too many credible witnesses. Too much physical evidence. Too many encounters documented by sophisticated detection systems. Reality that can no longer be concealed or explained through conventional means. Intelligence community resources committed to understanding rather than dismissing phenomena represent fundamental policy shifts. Professional analysts applying rigorous investigative methods to extraordinary claims. Government acknowledgement that some encounters have no conventional explanation. The document trail spanning decades reveals consistent official awareness of phenomena that challenge basic assumptions about life on Earth. Evidence that government knowledge exceeds public understanding by significant margins. Classified discoveries that could revolutionize human understanding of our place in the cosmic order. Foundation elements are established for broader public disclosure as official positions evolve from denial to investigation to cautious acknowledgement. Government resources committed to phenomena research. Congressional pressure for transparency. International cooperation on encounter analysis. The official underwater files document encounters that suggest Earth's oceans harbor intelligence with technology that renders human capabilities primitive by comparison. Evidence that we share this planet with visitors who have observed our development while remaining largely hidden in depths we can barely explore. The objects emerging from Earth's oceans display technology that challenges every assumption about what's possible within known physics. Craft that operate seamlessly in air and water without visible modifications suggest mastery of environmental adaptation beyond current human engineering capabilities. Propulsion systems demonstrate characteristics that violate fundamental principles of thrust generation and energy conservation. No visible exhaust signatures. No heat emissions detectable by infrared sensors. No acoustic signatures that should accompany movement through dense mediums. Silent operation at speeds that should generate massive noise and turbulence. Material science analysis of alleged craft fragments reveals compositions that don't match any known metallurgy or manufacturing processes. Atomic structures that remain stable under conditions that should cause conventional materials to fail. Surfaces that show no corrosion despite extended exposure to corrosive seawater environments. The hull materials maintain structural integrity across drastically different environmental conditions. Pressure variations from atmospheric to deep ocean depths. Temperature ranges from Arctic surface waters to hydrothermal vent regions. Chemical exposures that would destroy conventional hulls within hours or days. Instantaneous acceleration patterns observed in multiple encounters exceed capabilities of any known propulsion technology. Objects transition from stationary hover to supersonic velocity without visible thrust mechanisms. G-forces that would destroy conventional craft and kill biological occupants appear to have no effect on these objects. Environmental adaptation occurs without observable configuration changes between air and water operation. Single craft demonstrating equal performance in mediums with vastly different density and resistance characteristics. technology that suggests complete mastery of physical properties that limit human engineering. Government reverse engineering programs allegedly attempt to understand alien propulsion systems recovered from crash sites or underwater retrieval operations. Materials analysis conducted at classified facilities using techniques that exceed publicly acknowledged scientific capabilities. Technology integration efforts spanning decades of secret research. The scientific challenges posed by observed capabilities stretch current physics understanding to breaking points. Energy systems that operate without visible fuel sources or power generation equipment. Propulsion methods that appear to manipulate gravitational or electromagnetic fields. Navigation systems that ignore conventional limitations of mass and acceleration. Material compositions reveal atomic structures that shouldn't remain stable under normal conditions. Metallurgy that combines elements in proportions that human manufacturing processes cannot achieve. Surface treatments that demonstrate properties beyond current nanotechnology applications. Breakthrough implications for human technology development stagger the imagination. Propulsion systems that could revolutionize transportation and space exploration. Energy generation methods that could transform global civilization. Materials, applications that could enable construction projects currently impossible. Controlled release theories suggest gradual introduction of alien technology into human scientific development. Aerospace advances possibly based on principles derived from recovered craft. Patents filed by defense contractors that incorporate concepts beyond conventional research capabilities. Corporate involvement in reverse engineering programs may explain technological leaps in specific industries during particular time periods. Private sector analysis of materials and systems too advanced for public research institutions. Commercial applications of discoveries that officially don't exist. The technology gap between observed capabilities and human engineering suggests civilizations with development curves measured in centuries or millennia rather than decades. Advancement levels that indicate species with evolutionary head starts that dwarf human technological progress. Future implications for humanity include potential acceleration of development if alien technology becomes accessible through cooperative contact or successful reverse engineering. Civilizational leaps that could occur within generations rather than centuries if advanced principles become understood. Knowledge management becomes crucial as government understanding far exceeds public scientific awareness. Classified discoveries that could revolutionize multiple fields remain hidden behind security protocols. Research conducted in secret while public science struggles with problems already solved in classified programs. The divide between official knowledge and academic understanding creates situations where government possesses solutions to challenges that publicly consume enormous research. Resources, energy problems possibly solved, transportation limitations potentially overcome, communication methods that exceed current capabilities. Technology demonstrations by underwater craft may represent attempts at contact or communication by intelligences testing human readiness for more advanced interaction. Display of capabilities designed to encourage technological development. Preparation for eventual technology transfer when humanity demonstrates sufficient maturity. Scientific integration. Challenges emerge as alien technology. Principles may require fundamental revision of human understanding about physical laws and engineering. Limitations. Education systems unprepared for paradigm shifts that make current textbooks obsolete overnight. The underwater technology represents evidence that Earth hosts intelligence with capabilities that make human achievements appear primitive. Mastery of environmental adaptation, propulsion physics, and material science that exceeds our development by potentially thousands of years. Technology that operates freely in our oceans while remaining largely beyond human comprehension or replication. Earth's oceans provide the perfect environment for visiting civilizations seeking to establish presence while avoiding direct contact with surface-dwelling humanity. 71% of the planet covered by water offers unlimited space for installations, research facilities, and observation posts hidden from human detection. The ocean depths provide natural protection that exceeds any concealment technology. pressure conditions that crush conventional human exploration vehicles, darkness that renders optical observation impossible, vast unexplored regions where entire civilizations could exist without human awareness, temperature and pressure conditions that seem hostile to human life might prove ideal for intelligence evolved under different planetary conditions, species adapted to high-pressure environments, biological systems that thrive in conditions we consider extreme, technology designed for operation in dense fluid mediums rather than atmospheric gases. Evidence suggests alien presence that predates human civilization by significant margins. Ancient maritime legends across cultures describing visitors from the deep. Archaeological anomalies in coastal regions that don't match known human capabilities. Possibilities that established underwater civilizations observed human development from its earliest stages. Resource extraction capabilities of ocean environments appeal to any spacefaring civilization. Water itself represents valuable commodity for species traveling between star systems. Mineral deposits accessible through advanced underwater mining. Unlimited biological resources for purposes we can only speculate about. Strategic positioning of ocean bases provides global monitoring capabilities that would appeal to intelligence studying human civilization. Locations near major population centers. Access to all continents via underwater routes. Perfect surveillance posts for observing surface dweller activities and technological development. The coexistence model suggests aliens sharing planetary space without direct interference in human development. Observation-only policies that explain limited direct contact. Underwater territories that avoid human territorial claims and political complications. Parallel civilizations occupying different planetary zones. Evolutionary possibilities include separate intelligent development within Earth's ocean basins. Species that achieve technology mastery independently from land-based life. Intelligence that evolved in deep-water environments and naturally progressed to space exploration capabilities. Environmental monitoring may represent primary alien interest in maintaining Earth-based installations. Ocean observation of planetary climate and ecosystem changes. Concern about human environmental impact on global biosphere. Intervention possibilities if human activities threaten planetary stability. Intervention theories propose alien guidance of human technological development through carefully managed contact and technology demonstration. Underwater bases serving as staging areas for surface operations. Technology transfers designed to accelerate human progress toward cosmic awareness and capability. Communication attempts may explain increasing visibility of underwater phenomena in recent decades. Display of advanced technology as messages to human governments and scientific communities. Preparation for broader contact as human detection capabilities improve, and official acknowledgement becomes inevitable. The gradual disclosure pattern suggests systematic preparation for eventual open contact, slowly increasing evidence of alien presence. Government acknowledgement building toward official recognition, public conditioning through media coverage and congressional hearings. Long-term presence indicators include installation of permanent infrastructure rather than temporary visitation. Underwater bases that require significant resource investment. Technology demonstrations that suggest established rather than recent presence. Observation patterns that span human historical development. Resource utilization of ocean environments could support civilizations for indefinite periods. Energy extraction from thermal vents and chemical processes. Food production from abundant marine life. Raw materials for technology maintenance and expansion. Self-sufficient installations that require no external support. Territorial considerations suggest alien occupation of ocean regions that don't conflict with human maritime activities. Deep water installations beyond human exploration capabilities. Locations that avoid commercial shipping and naval patrol areas. Boundaries that maintain separation while enabling observation. The shared planet hypothesis proposes Earth as habitat for multiple intelligent species that evolved or arrived independently. Ocean territories occupied by visiting civilizations. Surface regions developed by humanity. arrangement that enables coexistence without direct territorial conflict. Technology demonstrations increase as human detection capabilities improve and official acknowledgement becomes inevitable. Controlled revelation designed to prepare humanity for broader contact. Evidence provided at pace that allows adjustment without causing social disruption. Future cooperation possibilities emerge as human technology advances sufficiently to enable meaningful interaction. Shared environmental concerns that require coordinated response. Technology exchanges that benefit both human and alien civilizations. Partnership development for planetary stewardship and space exploration. The new reality requires recognition that Earth has never been exclusively human habitat. Ocean depths that harbor intelligence with technology centuries ahead of human development. Visitors who have observed our species throughout history, while maintaining discrete presence in environments we couldn't explore. Understanding emerges that we share this blue world with neighbors who possess capabilities that make our greatest achievements appear primitive. Intelligence that has made Earth's oceans their domain, while we focused on land-based civilization. The beginning of acknowledgement that we are not alone and never have been. The patterns emerge like objects rising from oceanic depths, becoming visible as they approach the light. Decades of military encounters, government investigations, and witness testimonies accumulate into evidence that challenges everything we thought we knew about life on Earth. Military acknowledgement of unknown underwater objects spans multiple branches of service and allied nations. Navy personnel describe technology that exceeds human capabilities by centuries. Sonar operators track impossible contacts. Submariners report encounters with intelligence operating freely in environments we can barely explore. Government investigations consistently find no conventional explanations for phenomena that demonstrate impossible capabilities. Official classifications of encounters as unknown origin remain unchanged decades after initial reporting. Resources allocated to understanding rather than debunking extraordinary claims. Eyewitness accounts from credible sources create testimonial databases that span generations of encounters. Pilots with decades of experience describing technology beyond current human engineering. Military officers breaking silence about classified briefings. Congressional representatives acknowledging underwater alien presence theories. Physical evidence supports extraordinary claims through multiple lines of investigation. Ocean floor anomalies that correlate with witness accounts. Technology fragments that exceed known manufacturing capabilities. Acoustic recordings of propulsion systems, unlike any human or natural phenomenon. The technology revolution, represented by observed craft capabilities, suggests civilizations with mastery of physics principles we don't understand. Propulsion without exhaust, materials that adapt to environmental conditions, energy systems with no visible power source. Engineering that treats physical laws as suggestions rather than absolute limitations. Global presence indicators reveal coordinated activity rather than isolated incidents. Encounters reported from oceans worldwide. Consistent descriptions across different cultures and time periods. Universal accounts of capabilities that exceed human technology by similar margins. Human response evolution reflects institutional acknowledgement that phenomena require serious investigation. Scientists calling for professional analysis. Military personnel authorized to discuss previously classified encounters. Government agencies allocating resources to understanding rather than concealment. Ocean depths continue concealing secrets that could revolutionize human understanding of our place in the cosmic order. Vast unexplored regions, potentially harboring civilizations we're only beginning to glimpse, waters that may have been shared territory throughout human history. The coming disclosure builds momentum through official channels and public pressure for transparency. Congressional hearings addressing alien presence theories directly. Pentagon acknowledgement of phenomena beyond conventional explanation. International cooperation on encounter analysis and response protocols. Implications for humanity extend beyond scientific curiosity into fundamental questions about our future development. Contact with intelligence possessing superior technology. Potential for cooperative advancement or competitive disadvantage. recognition that Earth may host multiple intelligent species. Technology transfer possibilities could accelerate human development by centuries if cooperative contact enables knowledge sharing, energy systems that could transform civilization, transportation methods that could open space exploration, material science that could enable construction projects currently impossible. The paradigm shift required by alien ocean presence challenges core assumptions about human uniqueness and planetary sovereignty. Recognition that we share Earth with intelligence that has observed our development while maintaining hidden presence in environments we consider hostile to complex life. Scientific integration faces challenges, as alien technology principles may require fundamental revision of human understanding about physical laws and engineering possibilities. Academic institutions unprepared for discoveries that render current knowledge obsolete overnight. Public awareness grows through media coverage, official statements, and personal testimony that makes phenomena denial increasingly difficult to maintain. Evidence accumulation that exceeds dismissal capability. Witness credibility that challenges reflexive skepticism. Official acknowledgement that legitimizes previously ridiculed claims. Questions multiply rather than resolve as evidence accumulates. How long have they been here? What are their intentions toward humanity? Why are they becoming more visible now? What changes await human civilization as contact becomes inevitable? The ocean's secrets rise toward surfaces we're finally beginning to explore, with technology capable of detection and documentation. Waters that seemed empty now reveal signs of intelligence that has watched our species develop, while remaining largely hidden in depths we couldn't penetrate. Some questions may never receive complete answers as the mystery deepens even while understanding grows. Evidence continues emerging for those willing to examine it objectively. Official acknowledgement builds foundation for broader revelation. The vast ocean mirrors the vast cosmos in containing secrets that challenge our understanding of what's possible. Both environments harbor intelligence that exceeds our current comprehension. Perhaps the visitors we've sought among distant stars have been here all along, waiting beneath waves that cover most of our world. The truth may be stranger than we ever imagined, more immediate than we ever suspected, and closer than we ever dared believe. Rising from depths we're only beginning to explore, emerging into light as our technology finally becomes capable of detection, preparing for revelation that could change everything about how we understand our place in the universe. The ocean keeps its secrets until we demonstrate readiness to accept truths that challenge our most fundamental assumptions. The evidence suggests that moment approaches as official acknowledgement builds toward broader disclosure. The aliens may not be coming from space after all. They may have been here all along, watching from beneath the waves that have hidden them throughout human history. And perhaps, at last, they're ready to rise to the surface. The ocean keeps its secrets well. 71% of our planet remains largely unexplored, vast and dark and patient. Tonight we've descended through layers of testimony, government documents, and witness accounts that paint a picture both fascinating and unsettling. Are we alone on this blue marble spinning through space? The evidence suggests we may never have been. The question isn't whether something is down there. The question is whether we're ready to acknowledge what's been sharing these waters with us all along. What do you think? Have we been looking up when we should have been looking down? Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. And if you're curious about more hidden mysteries, you might enjoy our exploration of underground military bases and what they might be hiding. Until next time, keep questioning, keep wondering. And remember, sometimes the deepest truths are found not in the stars, but in the depths we've barely begun to explore.